Cock-a-doodle-doo. Welcome to Warriors Anonymous. We are back. And man, the season is underway with, wow, what a start to the season from our boys. Amongst other things, there's a bit going on, fellas. Let's bring in the boys. My name's Jared Cronin. Let's bring in all of the team who was, I think you guys were all at the game on Friday night, safe to say?
Yeah, boys.
Yeah. Good boys. That's the way. We've got Money the Sauce. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Great game and great to see a win from the Warriors.
Yeah. Also got Isaac Sauce.
Hey, boys. Cock-a-doodle-doo there, Jared. What's up with that? Anyone catch that?
It's just the lead into the Roosters next.
I thought it was cock-a-doodle after seeing them lose to the Dolphins. But, yeah, great game on Friday. Good crowd, great atmosphere, and obviously good to see the W.
Yeah, never quite think we'd see a coop of roosters getting eaten by a pot of dolphins. But anyways,
it's the food chain.
Also, that's right. Also got Daniel Whanakura, who was at the game, and also got a sneaky little birthday coming up this week. Hey, Ro.
Yeah, man. Kia ora whanau. First of all, are we changing this to Dolphins Anonymous? We're day one Dolphins.
Day one.
This is day one. That's up to them, but no, our boys. I mean, we had a little crew. The boys were there. We had 20-odd crew for Warriors Anonymous section at the stadium. Great game day experience. Had it all. Had 1990s, but no, it was more like sort of late 2000s music experience with Zed playing. And the warm-up was great. It was really good, actually. Lots of booing. You know, league crowds love to boo everybody. Obviously, lots of smash him, hit him on the sidelines. Plenty of flags. Bit of biffo as well. Some obviously great football out there too, and some horrible streaking. I won't say horrible, but just too much streaking.
None of those were from our section, were they?
No. But it was a bit of entertainment, but all in all, what a great night of footy.
I tell you what, one team that has not worked on their defensive structures in the off-season is the Red Badge Security. My goodness. They just get shown up every single time, don't they? Far out.
I don't think they're really security guards in the sense they're like uni students that, try to make ends meet. I felt sorry for some of them because they looked at some of the guys and they were like, I ain't going to try tackle you. You gotta get... And there's one of the security guards got picked up by the streaker and you held him. And then he was on the ground and he was just trying to hold his leg and the guy was just standing there and then they had him for a bit and then he broke free again.
Yeah, he broke free. What they need to do is they need to pay like the local like union teams or whatever, like get Oris in or get Poniki to be like the security guards and be like, all right, let's see you run around these guys. Yeah. And just let's just get wiped out.
Yeah, a bit of preseason training for them as well.
Yeah, or just get Felice Kafusi on the you because you see him in the last game. He just killed everybody.
You might see the streaker numbers dwindle.
Yeah. Must say though, however, it's become a little bit of a tactic. We went up and it was a great moment just to kind of re-energize the team, extended 4-minute breather as well. So, I think fans are thinking when I streak, it's a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot to be said for tactical streaking moments. So yeah, I agree with you on that. We just got to be selective on when we send our guys out there, which is good.
So if I start streaking in about sort of 45 minutes into the podcast,
just as we're fatigued.
Bathroom break. Another key thing missing with the streakers as well is the guy on the PA not doing a good enough job by putting the correct music on, as in like the Benny Hill music in the background or some shit like that. Just add a little bit of humor to that, I reckon. All these streakers running around to the Benny Hill music would be pretty classy.
Yeah. But that may encourage them.
That would encourage them, yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. Well, it sounds like it was a pretty awesome game day and event. We're going to be catching up with a couple of guys who are also in attendance at the game on Friday, that being Sam Hewat, the commentator for SENZ, and also the Warriorholic himself, a.k.a. Zane Matsumoto, a.k.a. the taxi driver. He's got a lot of aliases, so we'll find out which one we can actually call him. But
the transporter.
The transporter. Yeah, he even took you home as well, Buddha.
Sure did, mate. He sure did. What a gentleman and a scholar, So, no, great man, and loves his footy and loves his Warriors.
That's it, and we love him for it. Moneta, what was? How did you find things being, back at the old cake tin with the boys running out there and ripping in?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a game there, and just seeing them live, and you just forget how big they are. And you just because you see them on TV, you think, oh yeah, but then you see them up front and close, you go, damn, Kossi's a bit of a unit. And so for Tohu Harris, he's a unit himself too, So that was fantastic. Great atmosphere. Some funny calls from the stands. Some things I can't repeat for this podcast, but that was great. And just I can't wait to see them come back again to the stadium and go watch again. But yeah, something about the Warriors fans, they're just different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
something unique about Warriors.
A bit of a new era for the club, and a lot of new blood involved in the team. Like we had a whole lot of guys having their Warriors debuts. Isaac, who did you like out of the new boys?
I thought they all played pretty big roles in the game, whether they were flashy or not. I thought CNK was brilliant. I mean, I think a lot of the calls on social media are that we don't think Walshy would have stopped Ponga that close to the line or over the line. It just wouldn't have happened. So that was a 4-point play right there, and he scores a try of his own. And that was on the back of a Williami break as well. I don't think many of us picked Williami to start this season, and he acquitted himself amazingly well. Like he seems to fit in just fine. So
could he be just a little bit of a sneaky Montoya 2.0? Just quietly, just came in without any expectations, and he's looking pretty good.
Be happy with that. Yeah, he's just got a really direct style.
He reminds me of who's that centre that went off to the Titans last year? I can't remember.
From the Warriors, or?
Yeah, from the Warriors. He went from the Warriors and the Titans. And remember that Titans?
Patrick Herbert? Patrick Herbert. Yeah, he
reminds me of,
Yep.
Patrick Herbert.
Yep. Solid, direct, similar styles. Yeah, I reckon he played great. And, the likes of Walker, Niokore. Yeah, Walker adds something, especially when you see it up live. He does add a little bit of speed and spark.
Good
gives the coach some good headaches to have. How do you fit in Jazz Tavanga on the bench? So a lot of the newbies acquitted themselves really well. My favourite personally was Barnett, just because I loved seeing him fly out of the line just to knock someone's block off. And that brought up the energy of the team as well when you could see that, and the crowd loved it too.
Yeah, we probably missed a chance to label it the Barney Bowl, didn't we? The old Mitch Barnett up against his old team. So we got the Barney Bowl, boys, which is a good start to the season, as well as the 2 points. Moneta, Isaac just mentioned Mitch Barnett. I know you definitely appreciated what he did as well.
Definitely. You could definitely see there's, was it just chasing up for the tackle, his aggression. But I think it takes off, a lot of pressure off Aiden Whenua-Blake. And allows him to do a bit more in terms of his mobility. I saw that a bit more because I thought he had a cracker game too. And I think that just having someone there who's a kind of enforcer kind of takes that pressure off. And then I think I've got a bit of a man crush coming up for Jackson Ford. Jesus. His mobility and his run on the sideline. Was it? I think he palmed off somebody and just, Jesus. I think we're looking at someone quite special, I think. Just the way he plays, and just you got Barnett's aggression, and you look at Jackson Ford's kind of mobility and being able to kind of make that space but still make that yardage. So I think the forward pack's looking pretty good, and which allows for obviously Aiden Whenua-Blake, who's no slouch himself, to really step up. So
we may need a new section or new segment on the podcast, which is Moneta's Man Crush of the Week.
Man Crush moments. That's it.
I just come with this week. I have a T-shirt with his face on it, and just be that crazy fan after
the mirror with all the light bulbs around it. Wearing a bathrobe.
That's right. You got your Sean Hoppy slippers on, and
But yes, Jackson Ford, another one of those guys that we didn't really pick to be in that starting 13, and was just brilliant. Yeah,
that's right. He's keeping a guy like Curran on the bench, and it's like, wow. But I mean, you can't argue with it, can you?
Forget about that too.
It's all on
Curran.
merit. So, speaking of the Fords, Buddha, you like the tough stuff up front? Who did you like?
Oh, I mean,
I like the rough
so I
stuff.
think so. I don't want to sit here and say I think it played out exactly the way I thought it did, but it played out exactly the way I thought it did. I think 20-16 as a game, and I thought our game would be built on the defense side of things. And I was a little bit worried. If anything, I was a little bit worried about our attack. And first game, and actually I felt we probably would gelled a bit better than I expected to.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a massive work on. I think there was a period where we had maybe 6 or 7 sets on their line. We couldn't do too much as well, but that probably got the sting out of them in the back end of the game. But look, yeah, that forward pack, I think there's just the mobility within that forward pack. I don't think, obviously, the size isn't necessarily there across the board, but it doesn't matter, mate. They did well. They seem to be reasonably fit. I think you think about the interchange. You had a guy like Tom Ale come on for the last sort of 12 minutes, I think, as well. Now, I know you're shaking your head there, Jed, but I think it is a sign that everything's gone to plan in the game in terms of no injuries, no serious injuries, no HIAs.
Yep.
I think maybe one with Wade, which kind of became a free interchange anyway. So if we can get to that part with having some fresh legs at the back end of the game, it might not be a bad thing as well. Rather than being in a position where you're blowing your ass out by 60 minutes, as well. So the fact that you had fresh legs at the end does cause into question whether you carry 2 big props like that. But yeah, across the board, I thought all forwards did well. I think we didn't use Nia Kore as much as we could have. I don't think he got as much into the game. That when he got held up over the line, I'm pretty sure I was just yelling, get it out there, because I just wanted to see him up against some of the little guys as well. So maybe there's an opportunity there to use him a bit. But look, we can't ask for any more in game 1, right? We're resilient. We defended well. I mean, we were probably all sitting in the stadium with that period just before Ponga went off, thinking this is so crucial. And he was starting to make the difference. Like, obviously, Chance's tackle was amazing, but you could see him warming to the task. But we held them, but we pushed them away, and yet we did get fortunate for him not coming back. But I think there was enough starch in there. And then topped off by, which I think is the big thing, is the effort on effort plays. I mean, Tamaiti puts the pressure on
Bradman Best.
Mm.
I think that just summarizes it all, mate. And I know that you're a big fan of him, Jed.
Yeah, look, he's one of the guys I wanted to highlight. I've called them as a group the other guys. They didn't really do flashy things and a little bit sort of maybe understated. Because watching the game first up, I actually thought, Tamaiti was sort of quiet in general play. But I actually rewatched the game back today and just picked up a lot of the small things that he was doing, like that chase on Bradman Best. He did a couple of those where he was the man he was the first kick chaser there. And he was also directing traffic when he would do the kick chase. He would position himself, but also be telling guys, if you stay here, then he can't, the attacker can't get around us, which really impressed me. And it's something that we've been lacking with our kick chase and just general hustle. And that we mentioned the Jackson Ford break just before halftime. And I don't know if you boys have rewatched that back, but go and have a look where Tamaiti starts from. Because he ends up supporting down the wing, but he just absolutely gasses it up the middle to catch up with Jackson Ford. And I was, really just impressed with his vision for the game and also that effort. It's all effort. He's almost got a bit of the old clean up Curran about him. We've got 2 cleaners almost at the moment. So which is great. Can't have enough cleaners, man. Also, a couple of the other guys, I got to say, when Ed Cossey was named in the starting lineup, I was a little bit worried about, you know, the errors and all that sort of stuff. But man, he came out, he played well, he defended well. He saved a couple of tries on the edge with, you know, either a good jam in or you know, pushing his man into touch. Also helped as well by, that's right, hands up as well. And also Adam Pompey as well, who is effectively he's a bit like the Caleb Ralph, isn't he, of the Warriors? Sort of he's really the unpopular sort of choice. But I thought, man, I just wanted to give him a shout because, like, man, he played really well.
Yeah, 100.
He did his job, and it was like everyone was a little bit kind of thing as to why Vailea wasn't in there. But Pompey, man, he went in and he just performed. He stood up. So that's awesome. But we've got a new segment. I don't know if we've actually properly named this or not, but it's going to be like our MVP equivalent. I was thinking that, you know, normally you have the People's Choice Awards, but because it's us choosing it, we could call it the Nobody's Choice Awards. So,
or AKA, instead of the Daily M's, the Daily Wars. The Nobody's Choice Award.
And he does.
I like the Nobody's Award.
So, yeah, what we'll do is each week, Fano will, the Nobodies, whoever's featuring on the podcast, will provide a 3-2-1 in terms of like they do in the Daily M's, and we'll get the average of that and have a combined Nobody's Award. So the Nobody's Awards each week will pick up points. We might go behind closed doors for the last few rounds as well, as they do.
The air of mystery.
To announce the end of season Nobody's Choice Award. So for the first round one, first game of the year, the 3 points go to Wade the Chef Egan.
Oh yeah, the Prestige. How good was the Prestige, man? That was beautiful.
Oh, he's definitely.
I think we put a bit of not a challenge, but I thought he's going to have to take control, and we're going to have to see something out of him as well. Not that we don't see it, but I think it was just an opportunity to take the game from the scruff of the neck, and then he did.
Yep.
You know, so
100%.
We had Chan CNK for 2 points. Dusted himself off after
rocky start.
2 errors made there. So drop ball, and then he got himself in a tackle as well that led to him not being able to wrap at the back, and then obviously they scored through Ponga ball over to Fitzgibbon, I think. So Chance was made the tackle there as well. I had to make the tackle, but fullback caught out of the line.
Yep.
And Tohu, look, I was a big advocate for Tohu, but
there we go. Sorry, I was a bit slow on the old buttons today.
Better say Tohu deserves. This goes for 3 years of carrying the Warriors on his back. But I mean, how good was that? Bit of ball playing, put Mitch to the big hole, 51 plus tackles, I think. Just did it all, eh? So, but there could be many. I mean, we've rattled off. I don't think. Could you say anyone really had a bad game?
Not really, eh? No.
And that's probably, the blueprint is to have consistent, reliable efforts across the board as well.
And I think you touched on it, Daniel, before, about their resilience. Like, their last 20 minutes, usually I get worried. And last year there was a lot of it. But this game, they did not look like they were tiring. They looked, they were like able to keep up.
They looked pretty fresh.
So that was they looked fresh.
And I think, it was a little bit, I don't want to say disheartening, but you get a little bit annoyed when they had all those sets of 6 on their line and they couldn't put points on. But you kind of forget that pretty quickly when we just defend 4 or 5 sets on our own line and they don't get through. Like, you love to see that, because that's what really wins the tight games, the big games, those sorts of efforts on defense. I know it's just Newcastle as well, but it's really exciting to see the defense so live. It looked really well coordinated, and they're just hustling. They're just hustling to get to the tackle, but it didn't look like there was any sort of confusion out there. Live, I don't know if it reads like that watching the game on TV, but it's just good to see that on defense.
Yeah, like watching it on TV, you could I really got a feel midway through the first half. We didn't start that well, but I was, in my own head, I'm just going, patience, 5-year plan. Let's take it easy, cool your jets.
5 years.
And then all of a sudden we get on a roll and we catch fire, and I'm like, fucking yeah, we're going all the way. So like, I think it's one of those ones where I just saw us get onto a bit of a roll, like we have in the past, and we haven't really seen that kind of hope and excitement level in quite a while. What do you think Webby would have been thinking about his first game? We've got a little insight about Andrew Webster coming up for his coaching debut with the Warriors. But what were your thoughts on his thoughts?
I think he would have just wanted the guys, and I think it's sort of said that they just go out and just back kind of what they've been doing. So they talk about it, the efforts they've been putting in, the processes they're going forward and doing. And I've heard an interview with him. He doesn't want to use the word process too much, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward for them that they do stick to kind of the game plans and the processes, that sort of thing. But I think one of the big things is around playing for each other, playing for the jersey. And I think he's just thinking that it's just about getting a group of people together that have a bit of a common goal and want to work for each other as well. And I think you can kind of tell by, I know it's very, very early days, but just the personalities they've signed and as well. Like they talked about Tamati. He talks about Tamati Martin being the biggest competitor in the club and the team. So just wants, so guys like that, guys like Mitch Barnett, just a uber professional, in terms of week in, week out, year in, year out in the NRL as well. So I think he's just thinking about kind of, a group of lads kind of warming to the task, and I think that's all he wanted them to do, and then the rest take care of itself.
I noticed that you were a little bit scared of the word process there, and we've heard the phrase trust the process before. So I've just quickly Googled other words for process. And it looks like maybe the best one there could be operation. Trust the operation.
It just doesn't sound the same, does it?
Maybe he needs to have trust the process, and mix a bit of Warriors flair with some
trust the process.
With some NRL process, the process.
The process. One thing I want to touch on with Webby though, and it looked like it at the game too, is I'm going to call it the Penrith plan. With the likes of Tohu offloading to Barnett. We talked about I picked it at the end of last year that he'd get Tohu to play that Isaiah Yeo role, and sure enough, he feeds a short ball onto Barnett. CNK, the way he plays is very Dylan Edwards-like, just workman-like. I love his carries up the middle of the ruck too, which is probably something you wouldn't have seen from Reece Walsh. I mean, I'll bag on him a bit, but you just wouldn't have seen those tough carries up the middle. And I think
he sniffed around the ball carrier for the offload. Like I think Jackson Ford had 2 offloads as well. And those extra, you make sort of 7-8 meters in the first carry, and then you're on hand for another 10-meter carry.
Yep.
It's a massive difference, getting out of your own end.
On that try he got as well, rewatched that in terms of where he came from. He was, again, right in the dummy half area, and he just tracked straight up the middle.
Yep.
Just went straight line up there. You could see that as Williame got up there, he had to sort of, Chance had to kind of, stop or step back just to be able to get the pass because he was still ahead of him.
Yeah,
I was like, "That's good, man. That's exactly what we need, man." That's
we've been for the last 2 years. We've been like, there's been no support play like that.
Yeah,
like no one backing up. I mean, the only one who was doing it to his credit was CHT was trying to when he played fullback every now and then occasionally, but for some reason or another he tripped over or overran it or they didn't get the pass. But it's so nice to see, a Tedesco style or Dylan Edwards style support run.
But that's footy smarts and that's effort, And we weren't getting that for a couple of years now. Just no one backing up and wanting to get a sniff and support. But I think Webby's recruited players and he's stamped his authority in regards to the blueprint for this team. You could see it so obviously from the first game. It's just such a clear difference from what we're seeing now versus what we saw last year. And I guess we'll see that more and more as time goes on. But I think when it keeps it simple for every single player, makes it a really easy game to play, and it lets Sean Johnson do his thing. Because we saw him run, and I was out of my seat when I saw him run and throwing dummies and stuff like that. And we just haven't seen that for so long. So yeah, being able to do that is on the back of everyone else doing their thing and doing it really well.
Trust the process. I'm willing to that. I like that. Now, speaking of Coach Andrew Webster, we're actually going to throw to him in terms of the expense account this week, because Greg Spence has got some wonderful insights involving, among other things, our coach Webby. So, Moneta, run us through this week's expense account, man. Ching, 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 ching.
Yes. So, congrats on Andrew Webster's first win for the Warriors. Yes. He had previously coached the Tigers to 2 losses in 2017 and tasted defeat when temporarily coaching the Panthers on the game day last season.
So that's his first head coach win.
First dub.
Yeah. Good. Against the Roosters and a Warriors players. Well, let me read that one again. I'm having another moment. Against the Roosters, a Warriors players has scored the first try of the match in 4 consecutive games.
Okay.
I think this is for next week.
Yep.
So is it? Are we against the Roosters?
Correct.
Next week?
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
All the time, the Warriors hold a 1-game lead over the Chooks.
That's crazy, yeah.
I wouldn't have picked that,
Jeez.
Against the Chooks.
Yeah.
I think we came into the league and they weren't what they were. They were forced before that, and where there were some real lean years, eh?
Yeah.
And then obviously they just picked up and have an infinite salary cap. Didn't look that good, did it?
Braden William debuted against the Roosters in 2013, but hasn't played them in the 10 years since.
Wow.
He's a real journeyman, isn't he?
He was in the Super League
Shit.
for a while, William.
He went to French rugby
French rugby
as well.
That's it. Interesting journey. Glad he minded the Warriors.
He's a man of culture. He's 30. Okay, all right.
Oh, wow. Shit. Despite some uninformed naysayers piling into Bunty after a round 1 win, he is averaging 97 metres off the bench in his last 5 appearances as an interchange player.
97 million. Oh.
97 metres. So
Wow.
I've been looking at too many...
He's on the NFL money. Shit.
Greg Spence, absolutely. Serving out some punishment.
Despite some
The naysayers.
Greg.
That's cold-blooded.
Someone's, All right. That ends your expense account. And thanks for being
I
Greg.
know he's directing that too. Let's carry on.
Yeah, I wonder.
We value all of our Warriors Anonymous members.
I'm going to have to ask you, Greg.
I'll tell you later, bro. I'll tell you later. All right, boys. We better jump because we've got a couple of gentlemen just waiting in the green room at the moment.
Just waiting.
We don't have a green room. So we're going to be chatting to Sam Hewat from SENZ and also Zane Matsumoto, a.k.a. the Warriorholic, a.k.a. the driver, the transporter, whatever
The transporter.
The transporter.
Jason Statham is Zane Matsumoto.
We're going to chat to both of those boys in a couple of minutes right here. We'll be back in a sec. Warriors Anonymous. Boys, let's welcome in a couple of special guests for this special occasion. First of all, we've got from SENZ, the main match commentator himself, Sam Hewat. Hey, bro, how are you?
Good, fellas. How are we?
Mate, we're doing good. We're smiling. Jeez, I can see everyone's got a bit of a glow about them tonight, which is great. Long overdue.
Warriors win. Is Sam now, are you the new, is it too early to say the official voice of the Warriors? we put in that? I want to build some momentum around that.
Official radio voice for now. I think once you crack TV, that's when you get that title. So I'll stick with the official radio voice.
Sweet.
Unless you want to give that to Kempy.
We'll see.
We've also got the man known as many things. First of all, known as the Warriorholic. How do we refer to you, Zane? Like, You've got a few aliases.
So
the latest one
is my stage name, you see.
What?
It's actually the wife's maiden name, but like I don't like my clients being able to find me on social media, so I never use the real last name. But yeah, just don't call me late for dinner. Anything else is fine.
There we go. We actually started to call you the Transporter, based on your Wellington adventures. Mate, tell us what happened on game day. You were driving some famous cattle.
Oh, mate, I get 2:00 in the afternoon, mate. I'm there, really amped. No one else is around, so I'm having a bit of a wander around. I see Dylan Walker flies across the intersection in this line scooter and jumps into ridges and thought, I might have to just pop in there and head in. And there's the Mad Butcher. So I go up and shake his hand and introduce myself. He looks blankly, and I said, mate, I'm the guy you gave a call a few Sundays ago at like 11 o'clock for an hour. And he's just like, mate, I'm sorry, I don't remember you, but come with me. So he drags me up to his room. He's like, getting all ready for setting up the Mad Butcher's lounge. He goes, you got a car, mate? I said, yeah. And he goes, you're taking me to the fucking stadium then? I said, yeah, I am. So, I drove him and his boy Dexter there, and about half an hour later when I went to pick up the car again, there's Monty Beetham walking down the street, like talking to himself, man, I can't get a taxi, how am I going to get to the stadium? Monty, you looking for a ride to the stadium? He's like, yeah. And I said, I got you, bro. So he jumped in as well. So I was like, yeah, I looked after all the boys.
Oh, nice. Damn,
that's hilarious. We were all cracking up at your photos of all these guys and driving them around. It was like, what is Zane up to? Bloody all over it.
More importantly, though, I did look after the Warriors Anonymous VIP there as well. Gave them a ride all the way home to the Kapiti Coast here. So
much appreciated, bro. Much appreciated to get them safely home.
Man of the match, Zane. That boy. Thank you, mate.
None of them called you up after a few too many jars at 3:00 in the morning. Zane, can I get a lift home, mate? Can I get a lift to the hotel, like Monty Beetham? How are you?
I just hope the Mad Butcher remembers me next time. He's such a good man. Thanks for the hat, Mad Butcher, sir.
Oh, absolutely hilarious. I love this stuff. Now, Sam, you did the match call on Friday night from the Cake Tin. Bro, how was that experience? What's it like being, back behind the mic for Warriors home games this year?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I think, last year we did a lot of calls from the studio. We made a commitment towards the sort of halfway point that we wanted to do all the games. So we did a lot of the away games just from the studio. And I mean, it's obvious that being at an event at a place is so much better. You just get the vibe of the crowd. You sort of ride the crowd. I know, one of my sort of commentary idols is Rabs, and he always said that you ride the crowd. So there's no point you getting up and going mental if the crowd's sitting in their chairs doing nothing. So you get a lot more of that feedback, obviously, when you're at a ground and you can see it and you can hear it sort of spilling through the glass. And it was awesome. It's sort of, for the first time I've called away from Mount Smart as well. So, a different sort of venue and a different setup. And it was awesome. It was a lot sort of closer, I guess, sort of more level to the field. And Mount Smart, you're obviously quite high up, so you get a much more bird's eye view of it. So that was a little bit challenging. You don't sort of see, I think, the numbers or the players as clearly when you're a bit lower, because you're just reacting quickly to the play. So, but no, it was a lot of fun, and doing it alongside George Leipold, who's a former Kiwi and a former Cook Island international, and he's very big in the sort of Wellington rugby league circles. And he was awesome as well. His analysis was great. So, yeah, no, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and of course, great to call a win. It shows me that it's like I'm not the bad omen. I'm not the
Hey Sam, what was your analysis on the streakers?
That was an interesting one, because I hadn't called a streaker before, except we had a bunch of Mount Smart. We had a bunch at Mount Smart, I think, in that it might have been the first game. It might have been that Tigers game where we had a couple, because everyone was obviously fired up. And I think Kempy might have even taken over and sort of described it. But this one was a bit different. And in TV, you're not allowed to call it. You're not allowed to talk about it, because they obviously don't want to give them airtime. But so I sort of was ahhing whether I say something, whether I don't say something. I did sort of mention a few things. And I think there was a funny comment from Chris Sutton, the referee. We picked it up on the referee mic, and one of the security guards, he said, he's going to get 8 weeks for that, because he went in with the elbow. So there's a bit of banter there. But after the game, my tech said to me, you should have called the streakers, you should have commentated it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, mate, we're in radio, no one can see them. You just call it, and it's not like anyone gets any, fame from it. So you just, and it makes it really funny. So that was a sort of a bit of a learning thing for me. I think next time I see them, I'll call it like it's play by play, and we're 80 minutes on the clock and they're down by 2 points. Make it exciting.
Yeah, I think the security guys look like they're having a bit of a tough
Big
time.
goose step on the security guard.
Yeah.
The big right footer.
Tony Brown, though, when he face planted into the sideline, the signs, bro.
What
On
about
the boardings on the sideline, they just went, oh!
he just ran straight into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we need to. I think we actually spoke in the first half of the podcast just about the importance of the timing of our home streakers. Just making sure that when the boys are hard on defence, or we tactically just send someone out there and go, yep, go and go.
We'll be doing the interchange. It's like, Strickers, now.
Roll.
Yeah. And coming in from gate 3 now, please. Coming in from gate 3. He's like a technical director.
Tell him to take his pants
cut
off.
to streaker 2.
Yeah. I need pants off on streaker 3. Pants off on streaker 3.
I need streaker from aisle 29 now. No!
Oh man! Now, boys, been a little bit slack this week getting ready for the podcast, but I know that Daniel's got a couple of questions ready for you, boys. So, what do you got, bro?
We always like to get anyone that comes on, right, is tell us how you fell in love with the Wars. What was that? What was that earliest memory, or what really solidified the love of the club? Over to you, Zane.
I started watching rugby league in '88 when it first came out here. I was a Tigers fan coming from apart. But I think I was talking to Daniel about this at the game. Like, I'm a transient fan when it comes to any sport other than national sports. So, like, I'll drift between clubs depending on players. So I went from the Lakers to the Bulls to being a Steven Adams fan. But from day one when the Warriors were announced, even though they were Auckland Warriors back in the day, I don't know. I have no idea. And as you guys may know, I was in Japan. Like, I watched one season, then went to Japan and had to follow them virtually. So, there's a site called Across the Tasman. You download the torrents. Back in the days, like it'd take you about 3.5 days to download the game and stuff. So I followed them virtually until the NRL Live app came out from Fox, which meant you got every game live or on demand or whatever. So up until about 5 years ago, I had no idea about anyone other than the Warriors because I only watched the Warriors games. But yeah, don't ask me why. I've tried to leave her, but she just won't let me go.
Bro, did you download the games on old LimeWire or something? Did you?
No, that
took like half an hour for a song.
Basically like that, bro. It was so slow. It was on a thing called Across the Tasman, which had all like Kiva, had Shortland Street and all random New Zealand and Australian stuff, but it had the sport. But literally, it would take 3 days sometimes because it was like really good quality, and you have to, you didn't have great internet access back then, so you had to avoid seeing what was going on. Oh man, it was an absolute mission.
So you're hanging on
so no one can call
3
you
days, and then you like watch the game and we lose, and it's like
yeah. So as soon as smartphones came out, mate, it was a nightmare because before that, like you had to be able to write and read Japanese to get into the news on your phone, and I couldn't do that, so I was fine. But yeah, once the smartphone came out and Facebook, and you just as soon as you open it, you knew the answer, right? So yeah, that was me. So that was like only my second ever game to watch the Warriors live, and I've only seen them twice, both at the Cape Town. So I can't wait to get up to Mount Smart this season.
Oh,
Nice, mate.
mate, who are you going to drive up there?
Yeah, we've already had a chat about that.
On the road again.
He's all set up.
I was thinking about asking Tyrell Lomax to come up and see if he could bring his boots with him. I reckon he'd go right at 8.
You would, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Sam, mate, how did the love affair with the Wars come about, mate?
Yeah, so I mean, I was only 2 years old in '95, so definitely can't say I'm a day oneer. But yeah, funnily enough, when I grew up, sort of through high school, I've always been obsessed with sport, and through high school, I had my whole bedroom was just decked out with posters and like shirts and jerseys and stuff, just all sports. You think it was like a 30-year-old's man cave, but I was 14, and I, funnily enough, had like a '94 jersey, for my uncle that I think he had given me, or maybe he had given my brother, and that was hanging up there for years. And I always watched the Warriors, always sort of passing, but I wasn't a giant fan. But it was just funny that I had this '94 jersey, which is extremely rare now. Like people die for those sorts of jerseys, and it was just there sitting there. I didn't really know what it was, but I do remember in '02 in the grand final, I would have been about 9 years old, and I was actually on a soccer football trip up to Auckland, and we were driving back, and the guy's dad was obviously a massive rugby league, and he had it on in the car. And it's just so funny, like I've got a pretty bad long-term memory. I don't remember things from when I was a kid, but I vividly remember Stacey's try being called on the radio. So, like I said, I've always supported them. I've always watched. It was always funny. I see memories come up on my Facebook. I went to America after high school for a year, and my memories from that pop up on my Facebook are like, oh, I can't believe I'm watching the Warriors over in America. This is great. And, that was during the 2011 grand final. So, I think I've always had them in my conscious, but I always was a rugby guy. I always sort of gravitated towards being from the Waikato, the Chiefs and the All Blacks. But then, I think it sort of shifted maybe, I want to say 10 years ago now, where I really started getting into the NRL, like watching a lot more games, not just Warriors games, but watching other teams, and suddenly realizing that, hey, this game's way better than Union. It's sort of taken off since then. And then you start playing fantasy NRL, and that all of a sudden you're watching every single player minutely and trying to work out who's the best. And so it's sort of all grown from there. And then I'd say, whilst I've been a fan most of my life, it really sort of took off probably about 10 years ago. And since then I've just, I love them even when they lose. It's like last year they got the worst, equal worst record they've ever had, and I still just wanted to watch them every game, and I still wanted to support them. It's such a good brand. It's not even just about, and you guys will, this will resonate with you fellas. It's not even just about, the team playing on the pitch. It's just like the colours of the club are great. Like blue, red, and green is such a cool colour scheme, and like the culture around it, the community around it, the way we used to play, up until about 5 years ago, where, it was like Warriors ball and we had our own distinct style. It's just, there's so much more to it that so many Kiwi sports teams just don't have. And that's, I think, why you get 16,000 people showing up in Wellington when the team's been pretty poo for the best part of 10 years, I don't think any other sports team gets, some figures came out, right? It was like, at one of the Super Rugby games, they had like, 10,000, and at the Breakers or something, they had and the Warriors had the most. And it's like, this isn't even a team that is winning, like I know we're all excited, but I think that just shows how cool that community is. And that's what I've been obsessed with them, for the best part of 10 years.
You just look across, like even in town the next day, the build up the whole week in the city, you're just Warriors fans out of everywhere, like across all different demographics, all different levels of, ages of Warriors kit. The amount of Warriors kit you see across the board, obviously, Jazz summed it up. We had more jerseys and trophies last year, but even at the pub, at the Duke of Wellington it's like all eras of jerseys as well. So you're right, Sam. I think something about the Warriors that kind of transcends right across the country as well. And and I guess it's nice to not, I know, as if they can continue to build something as well, big if, then we know those bandwagons start to fill up, everyone starts to jump on as well. So it's you're right, you summed it up. It's a great brand.
Who were the players that you had on your posters on your wall, Sam?
No, not rugby league players, to be clear. Cristiano Ronaldo was there. Very young Cristiano Ronaldo with the blonde tips and the sort of, that's the tips. It was sort of a stunny bill where it was like a mullety sort of bat that was spiked out, and then it was like the fade on top. It was just such a mid 2000s, like sort of 2010s athlete look. So I had a big photo of Cristiano. I had actually had, it's a funny story. Lance O'Hire went to my high school, not at the same time, but he's a St. Paul's boy from Hamilton. And him, Ruben Wiki, and I think it might have been Stacey, came to our school and did a talk. So I had what would have that been? Maybe 08 Warriors poster signed by Stacey, Ruben, and Lance. That was hanging in the wall. Cristiano Ronaldo. I had a random Chiefs sort of game day program where I cut out every individual photo and like put that all on the wall.
Yes.
There were a lot, and a couple of musicians as well. It was just, there's too much going on probably, and a bunch of jerseys and
love
shirts. Yeah.
Zane, who did you have, bro? Like, I'm
Christina
feeling
Applegate,
pretty my age here,
Samantha
but
Fox.
Samantha Fox. That's taking it back old school. Sam's not going to know who she
No,
is.
actually, you wouldn't even know who Christina Applegate is, man.
Christina Applegate. Man with children.
Yeah, man. No,
Kelly Bundy.
mate, like, what was I? I was 21 or so when they came out, so I didn't have too many posters at those days, mate. But yeah, back when they first started, mate, I think like my first one I really got excited about was Brandy, because I was like one of the teams I'd followed back in the day was a bit of the Panthers when they won that year, and like the Blues, so I was pretty smitten with him.
It was a pretty big signing, eh? When you think about it.
yeah.
You think about some of the guys we had there back in the day, they were like Phil Blake, and well, you forget like they even played like John Curran and Mark Ellis, bro.
Mark Carter.
Mark Carter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I look at that Brandy signing, and I'm like, how did we do that? But obviously it was the right time and place. I actually learned before the game on Friday that Tia Ropati had actually played in the very first game, the foundation game of both the Newcastle Knights and the Warriors as well.
Random.
So I was like, wow, that's kind of mind-boggling. I saw him in a photo with a bit of an 80s mullet going on, playing for the old Henny Penny Knights, and I was like, oh, okay. There's a bit more than we knew, which is kind of cool. Boys, what did you think of the game? We'll start with you, Zane. What were your overall impressions on Webby's first foray as the Warriors head coach?
I think it kind of reinforced what we'd all kind of been talking about on Facebook and that you saw the SG Bull games, the first trial against the Tigers, where it was all about effort. We hadn't seen that effort, the line speed, the fitness, the passion for a very, very long time. I mean, we're going, was it 2018 under Corvo? We had the fitness, but I still don't believe we had that same level of passion. And talking to Martin Devlin, of all people, the other day, and he was asking me, what do you expect? And I was going through, it's bullshit, mate. Yes, all you want is for them to win, and you don't care how they'll do it. And I said, you're right. I honestly didn't. I just thought as long as we win, and it was, 3 minutes in. Yeah. How do you not look at the TV when you're in a crowd? But mate, after that, just the effort that we saw, the line speed, Mitch Barnett, that guy's crazy when you see him in real life. The speed that Dylan Walker was running into the line at for a guy his size, just the effort and the passion, and every photo or video I've seen of the players before the game, during the game, and after the game, you can just see they love it as much as we do. That's what I'll take out of it. I mean, I can't even remember the bad parts of the game because their heart and passion blocks it all out for me.
Nice. I just want to make it clear, as a podcast, we do not condone any sort of violence. However, I was quite encouraged by the fact that when things got a little bit dusty, Dylan Walker was right in there, and the rest of the team flooded in as well. I was like, yes, boys, this is part of what we've been missing. Sam, bro, what did you like about the team?
Yeah, I guess I sort of put my head in my hands when Fitzgibbon went over in the first minute, and I thought, all this hype, all this positivity that we had seen, and it's like you score a minute, and you just thought this is going to be classic. This is going to be Warriors. That's going to deflate us, and we're going to get pantsed. And so that to me was probably, there's a million things we could talk about, right, in terms of individuals and in terms of defense and attack, etc. But just the fact that we didn't let that derail the game so early, like it always would, I think was the biggest sticking point to me, because I was literally prepared to call a Warriors loss after that first try. And like, I've got a lot of faith. Trust me, I got a lot of faith. So used to it, and it's is the Warriors way. So the ability to bounce back from it and then to keep going, obviously the whole 80 minutes, because we know the 60-minute mark comes around. That's when we don't know what we're getting from the Warriors. So the fact we stayed in that for 80 minutes and we're competing for 80 minutes and almost shut them out for 80 minutes was, to me, the most encouraging thing. And Zane's right. All the videos that came out during the week and just what you saw on the field was that we had 17 guys who genuinely wanted to be there, who wanted to play for the club, who wanted to put passion into the jersey. And, you know, I think the fact that it was after about 20 minutes or 25 minutes where you're just so used to seeing Warriors guys in the line on attack, just resting and walking back, you know, whilst, you know, Ken Maumalo or Fusi Tua took the first 4 or 5 hit-ups. You know, here we were, where the guys were literally jogging or sprinting back into the line, and we just had a full set of 13 just ready to go. And that was, to me, you know, another sticking point and that's attitude. Like, I know fitness, of course, and they do look a lot fitter, but attitude as well. It's like they were fired up, they were ready to go, and even when they were behind, they still put it out there rather than letting it get to them. And obviously, the Tigers game, I was about 30 minutes in when I jumped onto the podcast, and they came out guns blazing against the Titans, but the Titans scored 2 quick tries, and it was like they sucked it out of them. I don't know what the score is now, but it sucked it out of them, whereas for us, it just didn't. And I think that was sort of the difference. So, yeah, that was probably the most encouraging side for me. And like I said, you know, we can talk heaps about individuals and that, but I think that was sort of a few things that, is sort of stuck in my mind after Friday.
Given your age, you're probably slightly too young to know the movie Rudy, but what you're describing to me is a team full of Rudies.
Yeah, 100%.
But we've got guys who are pretty sizable as well. I was kind of impressed by the fact that our forward pack stood up. We got some good units in there, good strong guys. Like lots of what I saw last year was we kind of got manhandled a lot in a lot of games, especially when, you know, things got tough. But I find that encouraging. Zane, what are your thoughts on how the forward pack are going to be operating? I guess let's look at the next game coming up against the Chooks, the wounded Chooks.
Yeah,
how do you expect the forwards to target this one?
I think the thing that interests me is like you always sit there and count the seconds that we're able to hold the guy down in the tackle versus what other teams are able to. How has it taken us 27 years to get a wrestling coach? Because you can clearly see that
Pretty good one too.
It's a different type of strength we've got now. Our ability to stop those guys, hold them up for that second to let your D get set, then drop them onto the ground. It all seems very controlled. So they remind me of Adi Savia. They might not be the biggest guys, but their power to weight ratio seems seems good. But there's some big units. They don't, Ford, mate. That guy is an absolute monster, and the speed as well. So Mitch Barnett. I think, a few people were probably worried whether he could match it at prop, but, mate, his defence, do you guys see the Dolphins game tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you can kind of see that he plays a very similar role to Lodge, right? But he's much more effective at it. And he goes for longer and he's more controlled. He didn't knock himself out twice. So I honestly think we can match it with any forward pack in the comp if we play to our potential.
Yeah, that's a good call. And it's funny because going into the weekend, I was like, all I was really thinking about was we need to win this game against the Knights. Must win. I'd sort of almost written off the next week and gone, all right, we'll win this week, probably lose next week. But Sam, all of a sudden, I'm looking at this game thinking, we could be a chance here.
Oh, absolutely. If we step up like the Dolphins, I mean, like you said, wounded Chooks team. And I think I was looking up there and whilst Zane was speaking, because it was something that I picked up on during the game. And if you look at the stats from Friday night, so average play the ball speed for the Warriors was 3.2 seconds. For the Knights, it was 3.9. Now, that sounds minute of a difference, 0.7 of a second. But from all the stats I look at every time I call a game, that's a massive difference. If you play slower, you'll generally see a team's average play ball speed 3.2, the slow team 3.5, 3.6. Yep. It's not a lot of difference. That's a massive difference, 0.7 and getting close to a second is huge. So I think to Zane's point, and that we know what slowing the ruck down does. Teams don't get speed off the back, and if you're talking about guys like Kalen Ponga, that's where they thrive. The whole game, he was standing in behind the ruck. He wanted quick ball. He wanted quick play the ball so he could run off the back of a hooker or whatever, and he just wasn't getting it. And I think that was such a massive key for us. So, I like Webby's clearly gone for that more mobile forward, thinking that that's where sort of the game's heading. And I know he did a podcast late last year where he basically said that the game's moving to being quicker with the 6 again rules, etc. And so we need forwards that it's moving away from just these giant, big-bodied humans. So in that regard, I think we've almost got the perfect forward pack for that. If he's right, and that's where it's heading, and that's how he wants to play, well, he's nailed it in terms of who he's got in there. So it's going to be difficult because obviously you've now got a Roosters team that has lost when they should have won, so they're going to be, it almost reminds me of like the Crusaders last week, and I hate to bring rugby into this, but it's like the Crusaders who lost to the Chiefs, and then they just come out and absolutely pants the Highlanders. Like, I just hope that the Roosters aren't, it's not just that one bad game that the Dolphins have allowed them to have, and now they're just going to absolutely come out and steamroll us, because I genuinely think if we play or take it to them how the Dolphins did today, I think that's almost the blueprint for how we can topple them. And shit, if we can beat them, that's I had them as the premiers, So if we can beat them, I'm starting to sound the horns that top 8 is very, very much on the cards for the season. So TBC.
Yeah. It's an amazing, it's just such a huge shift within a couple of days. All of a sudden, it's almost like everything we knew we don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Which is,
and I think a part of that as well, and it's not just the Roosters game. I think the Panthers game as well has showed me that for the last few seasons,
yes,
the top 4 teams have just been the top 2 teams, but the top 4 teams have just been so much further ahead than everyone else. And it was almost, you talked about from 5 through to 16, and the top 4 you almost talked about in a separate conversation. Whereas this weekend's just showed me that, man, we're back to that, like, every team on any day is going to beat any given team. And we don't really know how that top 8's going to look, So
a lot of the pundits are saying that, A lot of the pundits are saying this is going to be like the most tightly contested season we've seen in a long time. And you see Panthers get upset, and then you see the Chooks get knocked over. Makes you start to believe that too, and gives you a little bit of faith in the Warriors that can cause some pretty big upsets there.
I mean, if you look at this, you look at the Panthers' last 2 years, right? Probably, 11 of their starting 13 could play State of Origin, or probably all of them could. But the few players they've lost, the Eels have lost a couple of key guys. If I look at East, they're probably 2 or 3 injuries away from being middle of the road. They've got some outstanding world-class players. South are the same. Latrell Mitchell in there, they could go all the way. Take him out of there. So from that aspect, I don't think any of the teams this year have that same, 11, 12 guys who could or should be in Origin. So it comes down to, if you play like the Dolphins did or we did, where you just get up in their face, you disrupt them. Ponga, 2, plays from him effectively got them 2 tries. When else did they look like scoring against us? If you can defend like that, no one's going to have time. So it gives me hope.
They talk about the obviously the new team Dolphins coming in, so you have to build players out of that, and then so that distributes players across the league. Obviously, the salary cap is doing what the salary cap should do, right? Unless you're the fucking Chooks. They got producer Matt. Sorry, bro, but obviously they got Kettle coming back. They'll have Joey Manu back next week. They'll have
the week after.
Yeah.
It stays around 2 at the moment, as well as
Angus Crichton will be back at some point, I think.
Yeah. It's a sad situation.
Stop it.
Yeah.
But they just look at their injuries, bro. Like, they lost guys again tonight, mate. They just
and that's just been their problem. I mean, like I've always had the philosophy in the NRL that, like, almost the number one box tick to win a premiership is to stay relatively injury-free. Like, you look at the teams that have won the comp over the last 10 years, they're literally the teams that have almost lost no one. You just can't compete if your best players aren't on the field. But actually, more to the point, I think, on Friday night, like, the interchange for us is amazing. I mean, Dylan Walker was arguably one of the best when he came on. We've got quality guys like Josh Curran coming off the bench, and that's going to make, to me, the biggest difference against a team like the Chooks, because in the past, like I said, you'd stick with them for however long, and then you'd get a relatively weak interchange coming on, or you wouldn't get a punch that you needed, and the team all of a sudden gets on the top of you. So if we're competing with the Chooks, and then we're bringing on Dylan Walker, like how we played on Friday, and we're bringing on Josh Curran, well, gee, that's I mean, you're playing a 17. You're not playing a 13 and then an extra 4. You know.
And I was saying,
yeah, sorry.
No, sorry, I was just adding to that. I was saying about the depth. So you're talking about like not on the bench, but off the bench. Like you've got Jazz Tavanga.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. And so the injuries. Yeah, I think the depth thing's a big thing. So injuries, to probably Zane's point, is I don't think we are 1 or 2 away from being, cast aside. We sort of do have players that can fill in. Whereas, you look at the Roosters, and if they lost Brandon Smith and if they lost Tedesco or whoever, then all of a sudden they go from premier favourites to, maybe 6 to 8 type thing. Yeah.
It's also in game as well, eh? Like, I mean, we got the win, but they lost Frizzell early as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously they lose KP at the end. So, like, I mean, I think the boys deserved it. They played really well, but I mean, in game, that has a massive effect, eh? And I just noticed, and I didn't realise, and I thought it's a bloody good rule, is that now if you have 2 HIAs, regardless of foul play, you can activate the 18th man. Which is a smart play because, I mean, you don't want that. It's unlucky to get ruled out HIA, right? And it's important they're doing that, but also you don't want to diminish the game with I think there was a couple of games last year where, Para might have finished with bloody just the 13, no bench the whole game. So, but it also brings fatigue into the game, and back perhaps to your point, Sam, maybe it is about the smaller guys, the fitter guys, the mobile guys. One play which got me a little bit excited and I texted the boys about was when Jeremy Marshall-King, I mean, not hitting the Dogs, been in the Dogs where the Dogs have been going shit, has an outstanding game, but he picked out Lodge. Lodge was a bit lazy getting back in the line, skipped past Lodge out inside to the hammer and over. So, I think there's some things like that I think we can exploit, and our smaller men, and we also talked about it before, some support play, seeing Chance run up the middle and take a ball. We haven't seen
offload
for a couple of years. So.
Just as well, can I just claim the Chance try, because in the commentary box I had said about 2 minutes earlier, Chan's been relatively quiet the last 10 or 15 minutes. You can send me some cash in the mail for helping your TAB account if you.
He was listening on the SENZ app going.
He was, yeah.
Okay.
He had the earbuds in.
Challenge accepted.
Oh, so you, Sam.
Slight digression, guys, mate, but how ridiculous is it to see how well the SG Ball and the New South Wales Cup guys are going that have literally been together since just before Christmas? How much depth is there actually that we just haven't been able to tap into for the past couple of years? So, I was so worried about, the depth at prop until you saw those guys against the Tigers, Zion and the likes, and seeing Kepu at the game on Friday. I got a photo of him and literally I come up to about his elbows.
His shoulders just so wide.
So that really excites me. I mean, I hope we do get to see a little bit more of those games televised because, or the Warriors at least putting out some info to get to learn about their younger players because, man, give it, 3-4 years if they can be patient with Webby. I'm getting excited.
Did you say dynasty?
Yeah.
No, that's actually a pretty sweet segue as well, bro, because I do know that from my dealings with New South Wales Rugby League that they're going to be televising or streaming, should I say, the SG Ball game in a couple of weeks' time, Panthers versus Warriors.
Yeah.
So I have it penciled in. Hopefully,
are you commentating?
I'm hoping to, hoping I can jump in and call a few things for that game, but that's still to be confirmed. But it's been penciled in. So fingers crossed, fellas. I'll be happy for some notes there, Sam, bro. Like help us out with saying what not to say and whether or not we should actually commentate the Streakers. I'm keen for that as well.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Hey, fellas, thanks so much for your time this evening. I know you got plenty going on. Let's quickly run through before we let you head off. We'll start with you, Sam. Bro, what have we got coming up from you, on the SENZ platform and also whatever else is going on?
Yeah, so, this week I'm still down in Welly. I chose to stay on a few days, play a bit of golf. Going to link up with Zane tomorrow. He's going to give me some lessons. So a little bit of golf, and then I'm back. I'm sort of back at work on Wednesday. So I think exciting thing for us obviously is the partnership with the Warriors. So we're really stepping that up in the next few weeks. So we're going to have basically regular segments almost every day. I think on Monday, Webby's going to come on with the Breakfast Boys. Obviously, running it straight on Wednesday, we're going to have players and coaches. Thursday, there's going to be like a preview with either Stacey or like Justin Morgan or Richie Agar or one of them, and then something around team naming. So lots of like Warriors focused stuff, which I think is awesome for us. Of course, commentating every single game this season. So whether we're in the studio or at Mount Smart or wherever it is, we'll be doing every single game, which is also exciting. And hopefully just doing a crap ton of rugby league, because I hate talking about rugby on air.
Oh, mate, that's really, really exciting. I have to hit up Ruben as well and say, hey, bro, I'll be at the Roosters game on Saturday, probably about 8 beers deep before the game starts, but I'll go and slur some words on the sideline if you want, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we got to tap into that for sure. Yeah, use our Aussie Tories.
And Zane, mate, what's going on? You're on YouTube, you're on Twitter. Tell us what's going on. You're everywhere.
I used to remember back in the days of radio sport, and I'd hear the regular guys. There's another Zane actually used to call up every day, and Graham and the like, and I used to be really envious, and I was too scared to call. When SENZ started, I made a pledge to myself I was going to get used to speaking on the radio, and became a bit of a regular there, and got a taste for it. I've always wanted to make a bit of content, so I made a conscious life change towards the end of last season following the Warriors, that I was no longer going to be the angry fan. I was going to reinvent myself as this positive, passionate, balanced fan. And it was like, I have to thank you guys so much. Like, it's purely by chance listening to Smithy on SENZ. They heard Jared and heard about the Facebook group and jumped on, because for years I tried to keep other Facebook groups going, and there's just so much anger, So getting together with you guys really helped me, launch this new balanced, passionate, positive Warriorholic persona. So I've decided to give the YouTube a bit of a go, putting up the weekly reviews and previews, and a bit on Insta there and Twitter. Again, just trying to keep everything I go to make some kind of sarcastic or negative comment, I just delete it. Don't push send. I'm just trying to bring the positivity. So check it out, mate, at the Warriorholic on all the platforms. And check me out if you ever hear it, but I'm pretty sure I've been quite good so far this season, and I hope it continues. The blood pressure of the wife and the kids will appreciate it, man. I tell you, they literally all leave the house. It's like they scatter. What are you doing, Warriors? Okay, see you.
Let the door hit you in the ass.
Oh, I love it, boys. I love this positivity, good vibes, and man, I think it's a sign of exciting times ahead. So.
Just one quick note, Jared. I heard you made that comment, or maybe it's in a message, that it's really awesome to see all the Warriors creators collaborating and getting together and kind of supporting it, because it's it's a small market. None of us are ever getting rich off of this, but I think when you have a chance to collaborate and just share the love, it's so much fun. So thanks so much for this opportunity, because it's so much more fun literally having a chat with you guys rather than talking to myself. But we'd love to have you guys on the Warriorholic at some stage. But thanks so much.
Bro, we'd love to. And I'll also just have you know that we are becoming heavily wealthy from this particular podcast.
Yeah, I've been told, that I've got to send my bank account after this or something. Is that to you, Jared, or I don't know who's paying?
Straight to Monday. Yep.
Don't buy Bitcoin. Just invest it all in the Warriors to win the grand final, mate. It's paying better than Bitcoin.
True. That's
Bro,
cool.
Lachlan from the platform sent me a text and says, "Mate, jump on the Dolphins, $7.50." And I said, "No fucking chance, bro." He did it.
Uncle Wayne, anyway. Godfather. Yeah, I love it. Awesome, boys. Well, hey, thanks again for joining us. We'll definitely be chatting to you fellas at some stage in some way, shape, or form. But other than that, have a wonderful rest of your season, and we'll catch you soon.
All in, boys.
Thanks, guys.
Love it, boys. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Awesome, man. Sam Hewat and Zane Matsumoto, aka the Warriorholic / the Transporter. Boys, big round 2 coming up. Let's go. Actually, before we even look to finish that off, what's the current status, Isaac, with the fantasy scores? Because
let me just look that up now.
We might have some.
I think the top scorer for this week so far, the Gold Coast Tigers game is still kicking on right now, but with 824 points is King of the House.
Oof.
First name Kyle. No other details available. But more importantly, I think I am still beating Spoonie just by a sliver, by about 30 points. But fantasy is all go. Let's check into the draft comp. And I think I'm playing a person that just hasn't selected a team, so I'm winning, so that's all that really matters. And, I'm not able to check the rest of the teams. Oh, yes, I am. Go with the Bush shirt. I think you're the top point scorer so far with a completed team of 584.
Ooh.
On the draft.
This is the draft one?
This is the draft comp.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the how long to go in that Titans-Tigers game? Because
there's about 25 minutes left. Are you sweating?
I'm gone. I think I'm gone. There's old there's 3 players currently in play for the Raiders wannabes, and I think they're only 20 points behind. So I'm probably toast on that, thanks to Ronaldo Mulitalo. Not that I'm bitter, I'm just slightly bitter. Anyways, that's a sweet fantasy baby update. We'll keep you up to date with the results in that throughout the week. And man, it's so cool having the different competitions going on. So, speaking of competitions, we've got the round 2 game coming up at Allianz Stadium against the Wounded Chookies.
The roast chickens.
Let's go a quick hard or nah before we bounce out of here, boys. We'll start with you, Moneta. Hard or nah? Round 2, win in the chicken coop.
I would say hardly won, but it'll be a tough game because they'll have some troops back, like Joey Manu. And he's a big player.
Is he back next week?
Potentially. If he's back,
him and Jared.
He'll be the game changer, I think, Joey Manu. But I think we could win this if we stick to the same formula.
Isaac, hard or not?
Hearing that they're going to get those players back and Roosters don't play that badly 2 weeks in a row. I think they just got a bit ambushed today. I'm almost a no comment. It's just going to be a dead even contest. I can't even go hard or nah. Can I do that?
Hard or nerd?
Nerd. It's going to be really tight if the Warriors can keep up. But, Roosters just don't play that bad 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
He's saying nah.
I'm saying...
I think he's saying no.
I'm saying...
If you don't say hard, then you're gone nah. That's it.
You're gone nah. You're actually gone nah.
There you go. It's been ruled.
Yeah.
Damn it!
Go on report, boy. You're on report. But hard or nah, man?
I'm going to go for a little hard. Just not... hard. I think the Roosters, notoriously, actually, the Roosters take time to build into the season, and that's a Robbo thing as well. Get combinations right as well. So it's not actually too bad striking in there. It's not like a Melbourne Storm, right? Where Bellamy gets them firing from round 1. He tends to build them into the season. So, in fact, we're playing them earlier, and they looked a little out of sorts in parts. The halves looked a little bit out of sorts as well, although both individually really good players, you know. But yeah, there's definitely some wounded chooks though. I think they'll be carrying some injuries too. So Victor Radley looked like in the wars as well. So poked eye, head knock, he might be out. So yeah, we've got to back the boys if they can just, and they'll be galvanised by the effort. So
yeah,
it's a hard.
I like the fact that I'm gonna back the. I mean, there's 2 ways you can go if you're the Roosters. You can either bounce back in a big way or still be a bit low on confidence. So I'm going to go with the low on confidence approach, and just think that we can probably target them on the edge. Their edge forwards today look vulnerable, and I thought Jackson Ford, Marata Nukore, Josh Curran, whoever's going to be running at these guys, we can cause problems for them. So I have switched it. I've gone from a straight nah to I'm going hard. I'm going. I'm now hard.
You're hard, man.
It's good that you can get hard pretty quickly. So, yeah.
That's right. It's good at this age, isn't it? Anyway, boys, let's jump on out. Been an awesome episode with the guys coming on. Sam from SENZ and also the Warriorholic himself. Good to chat to him. So you can catch Warriors Anonymous. We are on Insta. We're on Twitter. We've got the Facebook group. We're on YouTube. We're on all podcast platforms as well. So, give us a listen if you're not already. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean. Anyways, my name is Jared Cronin on behalf of Moneta Sauce, Isaac Sauce, and Daniel Wharakura. Go the Warriors! Oh, that's it. Good.
Kind of came there, Dan.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.